Gulnur Aybet joins me now live from Ankara. And Gulnur is a senior advisor to the Turkish president. Thanks so much for joining us on the News Hour. I want to start by asking you, can you tell us about the assistance that Turkey is providing different countries? Both my home countries, the UK and Spain, have received kind aid from Turkey, for example.
Regarding the aid that Turkey is giving, this is predominantly protective gear for medical healthcare workers. As you know, these are the people that are in the front line in the struggle against COVID-19, and they do need the protective gear to protect themselves from the virus. And we've seen that a lot of countries' healthcare systems have got a serious shortfall in their stocks of protective gear. So this is what predominantly the aid that Turkey's been donating in terms of protective gear and masks and so forth for healthcare workers. As you mentioned, the initial donation of this medical equipment was given to Italy and Spain, the two EU countries that were most in need of this protective gear. And Turkey has so far delivered aid to 44 countries. And also the UK delivered, but there was a delivery to the UK this morning. But before that, Turkey already had donated 14 tons of medical equipment to the UK, which is one of the countries that is really suffering a shortfall in this respect. Turkey has also granted export licenses to a number of countries, including Hungary, Slovakia, Romania, and Bulgaria, so that they are able to actually directly purchase this gear from Turkish companies. But this is a separate issue from the actual donation that Turkey gives as a government, as a gift to the other countries in the region. And a lot of these flights, some of these flights were done under the NATO Rapid Air Mobility System, which was used for the first time, which is why the NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg also thanked Turkey for the aid that it has delivered in this respect.
Gulnur, tell us about the kind of requests that Turkey is receiving from different countries around the world. And is Turkey able to meet that demand and also its own demand, a country of 80 million people?
Yes, absolutely. Well, like I said, these are predominantly equipment to help the healthcare workers protect themselves. So we're talking about specific surgical masks used by healthcare workers, the N95 industrial masks and protective suits. These are actually the equipment that a lot of countries have a shortfall in, that Turkey is providing. And Turkey actually manufactures its own supplies, and it's been manufacturing these at full speed. So it's got plenty of stocks, but they're also being replenished all the time, which is why it's able to meet its own healthcare workers' needs and hospital needs, but also it's able to give this aid and donate it predominantly to countries around the world. And another reason why, you asked about, is Turkey able to also fend for itself? Absolutely, because Turkey's healthcare system is one of the few in the world that's not even using its entire capacity in the struggle against COVID-19. Additionally, 2 new hospitals have been established in Istanbul with ICU units, and another 2 are on the way. But there's actually, there's also Turkey's making ventilators for the first time, Turkish produced ventilators, and there will be 5,000 of these in mass production by next month. And it's also producing this filters for these N95 masks, which are so badly needed. But I must stress that Turkey is using like 60% only of its ICU capability at the moment. When we look at healthcare systems around the world, we see a lot of them are overusing their capacity, they're above their capacity, and they've actually run out of capacity to deal with the number of cases. And in Turkey, there's a steady drop between the number of tests and the number of cases ratio, although the cases are increasing. And Turkey also, because it's only using 60% of its healthcare capacity, has got the highest number of people recovering from COVID-19, as well as a very low case to death ratio in comparison to other countries. So that's why I think, Turkey has the capacity to deal with this. It's dealing with it. And also, I think some of the measures that Turkey took very early on in this crisis have also helped.
And Gulnur, is Turkey ready for what could be a prolonged shutdown, it seems, until we find a vaccine or a drug? And how long could that lockdown last for?
Well, of course, it's very difficult to say because, as we know, throughout the world, there are so many things about this new strain of this virus that we don't know about. But as President Erdogan recently stated, that if we keep these extra stringent measures throughout the period of Ramadan, some of the strict measures should be eased after Bayram. And also Turkey is preparing and working on a post-corona situation, both globally and regionally, where we're going to have to reevaluate the entire situation around the globe. So we're also, conducting studies on this as well. The health minister, just to give you an indication of how, we can cope with this so that we can come out of this sooner than later, he said a lot will depend on three things. The first of these is establishing the number of cases. As you know, Turkey is one of the countries doing the highest number of tests, and finding the underlying causes of the infection. Turkey is also doing a lot of research on this, and also being in the forefront to ensure that there are more recoveries. Now, Turkey, as I said, is already in the forefront of these two things. The third one is, like in all other countries, to maintain isolation, keep social distancing. And if we can maintain this, then life is obviously going to return to normal sooner than later. So I think, the fact that Turkey does have the highest recovery rate, that it's only using 60% of its healthcare capacity, tells us a lot about the period in which hopefully this is expected to peak sometime next week, and then the numbers are expected to go down. And I think Turkey is actually controlling, therefore, the situation better than most countries.
Gulnur Aybet, Senior Advisor to the Turkish President, it's been a pleasure to have you on the News Hour. Really appreciate you making time for us. Thank you.